Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 franchise mode here in NHL 25. So last episode, if you did not catch it, basically we had free agency. We really didn't do anything in the offseason in terms of additions, just because obviously we have a good young roster. Didn't really want to be pushing people out of the lineup at the moment, but our team is still looking pretty good going into the season, which I'm very excited about. We also did take a look at the rest of the teams in the NHL just to kind of see what they're looking like going into the 2016-17 season, but in general, just it looks like it's probably going to be another good year for our team. We should be easily able to make it back to the playoffs again this season because we got some more growth and we actually have a pretty solid looking team, I'd say, on paper. Especially like probably down the middle is probably one of our biggest strengths, but like even winger depth is fantastic. Our defensive core is coming together nicely. It isn't as strong as it was last year, but guys like Moss have made a big jump this season, so excited about that. Also, guys like Mackey are going to be making our lineup this season, so that's also going to be exciting. So the only thing I don't like is this -2 pairing, so I don't know if there's any way we could fix it really, but for right now, we'll maybe just keep it the same. And if that pairing becomes a really big hassle for our team, like if they're obviously really bad plus-minus wise, then we could look into maybe making some adjustments to it. But a nice young defensive core, and then from a goaltending standpoint, obviously Vasilevsky and Ruskovich. So this team is looking pretty good. I definitely think this team should make it back to the playoffs again and probably do just as good as last year or even better potentially if guys like Cameron and McKinnon continue to get better, which I think they definitely will. So yeah, excited to see what we could do this season. Hopefully we make a good run, and hopefully some of the prospects that are in the AHL continue to grow as well, because obviously if we start to lose guys on a roster, at least we have replacements ready to go. But with that said, let's get in your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will probably simulate a good chunk of the season in this episode. We might simulate like halfway point, just because this team should be pretty automatic in terms of winning games in my opinion. So if we are actually playing good and we don't really need to make adjustments early on, we could simulate up to like around January the 4th or 1st or something like that. It would be around game 41 regardless, so we probably will end up doing that depending on how we're simulating. Anyways, the first comment is from Michael Dose, who says, not a fan of taking 20 plus minutes on other rosters personally. And I understand why you wouldn't want that, but at the same time, for the throwback rosters, I kind of feel like it's kind of a necessary thing, at least early on, when I have still a lot of creative players in the franchise mode. Obviously, when we get to like the later years, if we even get all the way near the end of this franchise mode, which I don't think we probably will before NHL 26 drops, my guess. I kind of think it's a necessary thing for the throwback rosters just to be able to see, what teams are looking like at this point, what teams have taken big steps backwards, which teams have taken good step forwards, that type of thing. Because, for instance, we probably wouldn't have known about Anze Kopitar signing with the Leafs unless we did actually see that with the free agent signings, but we wouldn't have known about Eric Staal signing in Minnesota because he signed, I think, in August with Minnesota. So I think it's kind of cool just to look at every team's roster and see what they're made of. But obviously, I understand it does take up a lot of time on the episode just for no reason. But I'm more putting that in the video just for those who are interested in seeing what the teams are looking like around the league at that point in time. So you could always skip it if you don't really want to watch through all that. But if you do want to watch through all of it, I do appreciate it. And the last and final comment is from Saturn Taku, who says, McKinnon for captain, Cameron and Falk as alternates. Interesting to see Troy Brouwer sign with the Islanders instead of Andrew Ladd. And it was kind of interesting about Troy Brouwer going with the Islanders. Troy Brouwer wasn't like a crazy NHL player, but obviously I do remember him. Where was he slotted in with the Islanders out of curiosity? Because I do not remember in the lineup. But yeah, obviously Andrew Ladd in real life would have been an Islander around this point in time, I think, or getting close to it. But in this sense, it's Troy Brouwer. Troy Brouwer's only an 81 at 31. How's he simulated compared to the real life Troy Brouwer? Probably a little bit worse. Because the real life Troy Brouwer, I was just literally looking at his stats before I recorded this episode. He had like a 25 goal season at one point, and I think his most points was like 40 something. So a little under simulating, but still kind of cool to see that he's actually doing well and still getting playing time some places. Like, it's kind of insane though in real life though. He actually retired in 2020. Like, it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years since he's retired in real life. Like, I feel like this guy literally just played like a year ago, but it's been 5 years and not just one. So that's kind of insane about that. But what he was saying with the captains about McKinnon being captain, Cameron being an assistant, and same with Falk, I think it's a good call. I was thinking Cameron maybe deserves the captaincy a little bit more more than McKinnon. But I could kind of understand why you would say McKinnon, because he's had the higher potential, and there's a good chance that he will exceed expectations earlier than Cameron. So we will have Mac as the captain, and then we will have Cameron as assistant, and also Justin Falk, just because it's kind of good to have a captain on the defensive side of things, in my opinion. So that will be our captaincy for the season. There's a lot of young talents on this roster, so there's other guys that may be captains down the road. But right now, I think that's what we go with. I feel like at some point, Marcoux as an assistant captain would be kind of nice, but obviously, we'd have to wait a long time until that's the case, because likely Cameron and McKinnon I want here all the way till the end of this franchise mode. Falk might be some guy that gets moved out at some point, but it would be kind of nice to give Marcoux a letter, just because I feel like he's kind of one of those players that may be a good vocal locker room type of guy. So anyways, with that said, I think we're ready to get into the 2016-17 season and see what this team's able to do this year. Like I said, I think playoffs should be pretty easy for us to make, unless our coach doesn't work really well with our team. But I'm pretty sure he's good enough right now. Like, let's take a look actually at our coaching staff here briefly again. So Chapman was a 61. I don't know if I took a look at the other coaches in last episode. I feel like I did, but let's take a look at some of these other coaches and see if they're better. 60% on Aegon. And then we have also Barrett. How good is Barrett? Barrett is a 64. Barrett actually might be the best coach option. So if I go back to our lines, does it fix that minus on that top 6 pairing? Because maybe we go with a different head coach this season because of that. So the offensive chemistry looks good. The defensive chemistry looks improved. So I think we know what we're going to do. Because obviously then that gives an opportunity to Zhurdev to going up a bit. Mackey could play actually top 6 minutes. Even this looks better too. So I think we're going to run something like this. That way we have everybody in their actual correct roles and nobody's complaining about ice time. So I think this coach might be the way to go. Let's double check special teams as well, because some of these coaches have really bad special teams, but this coach seems to be working well with our special teams as well. So I think we are going to go with a new head coach this season out of our coaches. So I don't think that's a bad thing entirely. Like, I think it will definitely help with the chemistry a little bit, and at least we won't have to deal with that minus. I was going to see if that minus actually was a big issue. Like, I would simulate like 10 games and see how those two guys were doing, but I think I'm okay with having a different coach, because this head coach actually has a B overall. The coach that we did have before was a B minus, so maybe this is a subtle little improvement for the team to have. So let's move him to the assistant, I guess. Yeah, that's good. All right, so our coaching staff is dealt with. We have all our scouts, of course. Our lineup is set up. I think we're ready to get into the season. I was thinking about potentially trading away somebody like Brock McGinn, who's in the AHL at the moment, but I don't think it's something we necessarily need to do. It's something we could do if we really want to. So I think for the time being, we should be okay. Obviously, if people start to lose morale and all that, we could start to make some deals, but I think everybody should be okay with their ice time, because everybody's listed as depth forwards and depth defenders in the NHL that are scratched. And then AHL-wise, at least Brock McGinn's getting playing time, but we are definitely going to have to start thinking about moving on from people at some point. Like Brock McGinn, I don't know if he goes through waivers. Let's see on this. Where does it say? He doesn't go through waivers right now, so him playing in the AHL to start the year is not a bad thing. We could call him up at the trade deadline if we want to, get him into the NHL, send him back down if there's injury troubles, that type of thing. So I think it's fine for him to start there. As for Dale Holden, I think he's very close to being NHL ready, but I think waiting one more year might be a nice little thing for him. So we'll wait on him, and everybody else is not ready to go yet, but we definitely have a lot of prospects that are very close to making our NHL teams. So there is actually one player we could trade if we really wanted to, and that would be Tuomainen, but I would have to then sign the other goalie prospect, which I haven't done yet. So that might be something we'd look into at the trade deadline, but not right now. So, as I want that AHL team to be somewhat competitive at the moment. So, if I have to call up Tuomainen because of a goaltending injury, then we'll probably think about trading him before we have to send him back down or something like that. But anyways, let's start up the 2016-17 season and see how this team does. Hopefully, it is good. So, we have a pretty busy first month of action, actually, which is 4, 7, 10, and 12 games. So let's go through this first month. And like I said, we probably will simulate to the halfway point in this episode alone. All right, who's on waivers? Aaron Johnson, who used to play with us. Don't need him at this point. Carolina's 4-3 victory to start off the season. Florida's a 4-2 victory. Calgary's a 1-0 loss. Chicago is a 6-3 win. So some pretty good offensive games aside from Calgary. We lose 2-1 in overtime to the Rangers, but then beat the Flames in our second meeting of the month. And then we have a third meeting against them, and they shut us out for the second time in 3 games. That's not ideal, but it is what it is. We lost to San Jose. Calgary, again, we lose to them 2-1 in a shootout. So Calgary must be a very good defensive team or something. And we're kind of on a little bit of a sour note to end off the month, but that's probably one of the most weirdest months I've seen. I don't think I've ever finished 4-4-4 in a month, but that's definitely even Steven, as I will call it, because I don't think there's any way that that's not even, really. Goddamn. But in terms of standings right now, not the craziest start, but I do expect eventually either we're going to go on a bad streak or we're going to go on a very good streak, because this team, it definitely should be good, and they shouldn't be simulating as bad as they are right now. Like, it could be the young defensive core, but also we have good goaltending, so I don't think it's that big of an issue. But we've lost a lot of close games. I think the main problem right now is maybe goal scoring, because you can see we got shut out there, lost 2-1 in overtime there, lost 3-2 there. Or, well, actually, won 3-2 there. Why am I saying lost? Lost 3-0 there, lost 2-1 there, lost 3-2 there, lost 4-2 there, lost 2-1. So I just feel like we're probably not scoring enough goals right now, which is an easy little fix. You just got to make some line adjustments if that's still a problem at the end of this month. But let's go to November the 30th and see if we can get well above 500 by the end of the month. Minnesota's a 4-2 victory. Detroit's a 4-2 loss. That's kind of surprising. And speaking of goaltending injuries, we do get one early in the season as Vasi has been injured with an injured knee. He is out till November the 13th, so that's only for a week. But that would mean I should be calling up Tuomainen, and he does go through waivers. So we might have to think about trading him already at this point, because I don't want to lose him to waivers. Losing him to waivers would be a waste of his trade value. So, yeah, I think what we're going to have to end up doing here is we will probably sign the other goaltender so we could play him in the AHL if he's AHL eligible. Hopefully he is. And then once Vasilevsky's back, I might have to send somebody else that doesn't go through waivers for a second down to the AHL. And then we trade Tuomainen in this episode, because we got to try and find a way to capitalize on that value. And the AI signed us Marek Mazanek, which is kind of funny. I mean, that's not a bad goaltender to pick up, but obviously we don't want Marek Mazanek down there, really. So, oh well, let's stop the sim here. And let me see if I could sign that other goalie prospect. Our team is still doing really weird, though, to start this year. 5-7-4. Which I'm not really liking too much. I don't know if it's because we have a different coach, but we're 1-6-3 in our last 10 games, so we definitely got to be improving somehow. I do still think this team has a lot of good stuff in them. We are a very good defensive team, but the offense is lacking completely. We are 2.9% on the power play right now, so that's definitely got to improve a lot. I think there's still a lot of time left in the season that it could improve, but we might need to make some line adjustments. What I was going to do, though, is I was going to go to the contract situation and see if I could get that young goalie that has elite potential to play in the minors, McClement. Would he be AHL eligible if I give him his ELC right now? The answer is yes, it is. It has been a dream of him to join this team, apparently. So McClement is now ready to go for the AHL, which is good. We could put him in, and as soon as Vasi is getting close to being back, or is ready to go, we make that trade. We make that trade, get rid of Tuomainen. That's basically the play. So we are going to go to edit lines here and make sure we get McClement into Springfield, so that way he's playing. I think this is probably the best time to make this trade, just because, or get the best place to get this deal done, just because, or else we'd end up losing him for free. Like, there's no chance that he doesn't get claimed, I feel like. Wow, also jumped up to a 76 already. I'm curious on how he's doing in the minors, but we won't take a look at that till the end of this episode, probably, if we remember, or we could do it at the end of the season. But we do need some offensive adjustments. Our offensive core has not been simulating that good right now. I don't know if it's more of a defensive team or what, but we are going to move to Foley, I think, to the left side. And then Jacomovs is going to go top line with Cameron into Foley. We'll have Nyquist playing with Eberle and McKinnon. We could always move McKinnon to the top line, but right now I think it's fine the way it is. Gus can win faceoffs, but he's not the craziest at it. I think the rest of this is fine. Let's put Yakupov on his off wing maybe, just so he can maybe score some goals. Actually, that's not even his off wing, I guess. But he is a left-handed shot, so I guess it technically is. Aside from that, do we need to make any other adjustments? Our defensive play has been good apparently, but it's just the offense that's been lacking. Let me go to the power play here and see what we got for the point. We do have a lot of forwards on this first unit, so what if we instead gave Justin Falk the first line power play, and instead on the second unit we take Falk off that one, and playing with Mackey we will give a chance to Zherdev since he's also an OFD. And kind of change up our power play a little bit there. Because our defensive play has been good, just the offense needs to find a way to improve, and then we could probably win some games. So there's a little bit of an adjustment. And then, like I said, once Vasilevsky's back, we'll look into moving on from Tuominen. So let's advance. And there he is. Vasilevsky is back. So we are going to have to send somebody briefly down to the AHL. Who does not go through waivers that I could send down? Let me actually sort on overall rating here. Somebody that's not in the lineup. So somebody like Mackey, I guess, would have to get sent down briefly, but then we'd call him right back up again. So let's just do that for the time being. I know he's in the lineup, but we're just going to put Safronov in that spot just because that way we can easily move on from Tuominen easier, and then we'll call up Mackey after the fact. But let's just get Safronov in the spot temporarily and make a deal with Tuominen involved. Doesn't matter about getting Mackey into the lineup because he's not going to be playing in the AHL. But let's go to the find trade option here and see what we could get in return for Tuominen. At this point, we might as well take whatever we could get. And he doesn't have the craziest value, but he does have a little chunk of value. So this is a decent chance to capitalize on him. So we could either get a third and a fifth from the LA Kings, which is not too bad. A third and a fourth from Pittsburgh. A fourth in Steve Eminger. I don't have any use for Steve Eminger. And then there's a third in Josh Georges, which I don't have use for either. So I don't want to send him to Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's been a very good team already. So I'm going to send him to the LA Kings, even though the LA Kings have been good. We've made a lot of trades with the Kings so far in this franchise mode, but I think this is the one I'd be willing to accept. So best of luck to Tuominen in LA. And that trade is done. All right, so now that Tuominen has been dealt, we are good. Hopefully Vasilevsky doesn't get re-injured. Maybe I should have waited until then, but I think we have a lot of days in between games, so at least that should help us a bit. And Mackey's going to come right back up to the NHL and be put right back in his normal spot again. I think that was a good time to trade Tuominen. I don't believe we would have been able to hold on to him much longer than that. And at least we had a goalie that was on the ready to basically play in the AHL. That made it a lot easier to make that time for the trade. Like, we could have honestly traded him at the trade deadline if we wanted to, or we could have traded him at the draft if we wanted to, but I think his value probably could have dropped off a bit. So there we go. Little deal done in this episode. Not that I was expecting to make it this early on, but when I saw that injury, I'm like, it's probably the time. Let's advance a few days and just make sure we get Vasi fully healthy, which he should be for this game against Columbus, I think. Hopefully he doesn't get re-injured. Yep, he's fully healthy. Okay, good. That was perfect timing. Perfect timing. Okay. So now that our team has been readjusted offensively, we got Vasilevsky back. Hopefully this team could start finding ways to win more consistently. Because like I said, right now, 5-7-4 is definitely understimulating. But we do have a lot of games left. So I'm not going to say, hey, let's throw in a towel right now. But let's go to November 30th and see if we can start finding our game a little bit. Columbus, 4-0 loss. Goddamn. And then a 2-0 loss to Calgary and a 6-4 loss to LA. What is happening with this team? Why are we off to this bad of a start? I think we might have to go back to the old head coach because this is just brutal. 6-12-4. If we're not closer to 500 by January the 1st, I might have to make some adjustments. Now, we are playing some tough teams this month, so maybe that's why. But we did just finish off on a 3-game win streak, so maybe this is the beginning of our team starting to find its game a bit. But still, definitely a little bit of a lackluster start compared to what I was expecting from this team. So let's do another month, and obviously if this team is kind of like wonky by January the 1st, maybe we have to think about some trades in the next episode. If we're good by then, obviously maybe we're starting to find ourselves back into that playoff mix again. But It is a bit of a tight race, I guess, in the division, except for the top two teams, because the Flames and the Wild are both over 30 points. We're tied with the Canucks and the Avs, so we're pretty much battling for last place in our division right now. So we got to hope that we could start finding our game a little bit here. We do have actually games against Vancouver and Colorado this month, so let's go to December the 31st, and then we'll see what we're like at that point. That should be getting closer to halfway point, but oh my goodness, 2 more losses in a row. There's a win over LA, though, which is good. Maybe this will start our win streak. Vancouver is a win there. Metropolitan's been injured. Let's go replace player on that. There's an OT loss against Pittsburgh. Colorado's a loss. Buffalo is a win. I don't really like the inconsistency, but I do understand it because our team is so young. But I definitely expected maybe better results to start off this year. But maybe I'm thinking too much ahead right now. Because obviously I know that Russell and Petrie were really good for this team, so maybe by moving those guys out, we kind of hurt us a little bit, but we still should have like the offensive depth that we should be doing better, in my opinion. Oh my goodness, too many losses in a row again. 12, 17, and 5. We only have 2 more games left, so we might as well get through those, but I think we need to make some drastic adjustments here with the coach. Because this coach, I thought he would be better because it said he had a better scheme fit, but apparently not. 12, 19, and 5 at December 31st is really, really bad. And I don't know if I should simulate even anymore just because this team is still doing really bad offensively. We're dead last in goals for per game and dead last on the power play. But look at that. We're 5th on the penalty kill and 10th in goals against. So our offense has been a major problem right now, which is not what I was expecting. I feel like our offensive core looks good, but maybe we just don't have enough scorers on it. But I feel like we do, which is a weird thing. Let's try and go a little bit all out here. We are going to try and figure out who could be second line center, but we are going to put McKinnon with Cameron and Toffoli because those are our best forwards pretty much, other than Nyquist, I guess. Second line center, I guess we'll have to use somebody like Gus as that second line center. So we'll do that. Jakumovs could play on the wing, him and Eberle. Yakupov still could play with Markku and Fata. Lati, Jenner, and Nikushkin. Defensively, like with all the offensive defensemen we have too, I thought we would be producing a little bit more. Let's try and change some defensive pairings a bit around. See if that improves the chemistry a little bit. And then goaltending obviously has been good so far. I am really surprised this team can't score goals. Like you think they would be able to, but like I said, maybe that new look top line, maybe that could help things a little bit. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised. So there's some offensive adjustments. There is guys in the AHL that could come up if we really get into trouble later in the season. But for right now, I would prefer those guys kind of marinating more still in Springfield. But I think we are going to still simulate to the halfway point. But I do think we need to maybe make some adjustments if this team doesn't find itself in the next little bit. So how many games have we played at this point? I can't do the math in my head right now, so we played 36, so we have 5 more games before we're at the halfway point, so only a few more games of simulation left. Let's hope that we end this episode on a high note, and maybe that continues into the next episode, but a 3rd and a 5th for a 3rd and Matt Hunwick, it would bolster our defensive core more, but I do like our core right now, because we have been good defensively, it's just the offense needs some sort of thing. So we got a game against Colorado coming up. They're below 500, but not by much. They're 5 games up on us. The Vancouver Canucks are also doing bad just like us, so we should be able to beat them a couple times this month, hopefully. And then we also have a game against the Islanders coming up, who are actually closer to 500 than I'd expect. All right. So I said we're at 36 games, so we need to go through 5 more games. And then we've been through half the season. So let's take it one game at a time and see if this team can start winning some games more consistently. Colorado, 4-1 loss. Oh my God. I don't think I was anticipating this. I could go back to the other coach, but that would make our defensive core worse in terms of chemistry. This coach does not seem to be working well. Like that B- coach got us into the playoffs and then a B coach can't. Is there any interesting coaching options out there in the coaching pool? Because maybe we need to find ourselves a new head coach completely. Is there anybody with... Oh, there is an A coach. Okay, let's take a look at some of these coaches here. Let's see, 49, 60 on Pedro Wall. 64, that's actually just as good as our current head coach. He's an A-. My man, you are going to be the head coach of this team, I think, if we could get you. I just think it's important that we get a new coach right now. I don't think our current head coach has it cut out for us, so we are going to fire him, I think, into the sun. Yeah, we're going to fire him into the sun, unfortunately. I thought Barrett was going to be good, but it turns out he's pretty trash, so we're going to fire him, and temporarily we are going to just go back to our old head coach, and then our new head coach will come in the next few days, hopefully, but goddamn. I did not expect this team to get off to the start, especially with making the playoffs last year. I thought our team would kind of learn some stuff, but it seems like maybe that carried in some fatigue into the season, something like that. But let's go through still one game at a time. Game against Vancouver in Vancouver with our new interim/old head coach. We lose 1-0. Our team cannot score goals for their life. There's Appleby in as the head coach now, which is good. Maybe that will change some things because he's an A- coach. But, wow. Our team cannot score goals at all. Like, when you go back to the last time we scored more than 2 goals, you would have to go to this win, of course. But after that, or before that, I should say, this loss right there, like, we barely score over 3 goals a game. Like, what are we averaging right now as a team, did I say? Because this team just, like I said, cannot score consistently. Yeah, we're averaging 2.18 goals for per game. The next worst offensive team is the Canucks, and they're averaging 2.5. So our offense has been so bad, and our power play is at 5.2%. But we got a great goals against average and a great penalty kill. But Cameron's leading this team with 29 points, and we're almost at the halfway point of the season. So apparently our goal scoring has turned back the clock to like the dead puck era, it seems like. But goddamn. I mean, I like that we're playing good defensively for a young team, but you'd think we have the skill level to score more goals. At least in my opinion. All right, let's continue to go through some more games. Let's continue going one game at a time just because we need to find a way to slow this thing down. Oh my god. I feel like I should just stop simulating at this point because every single game is lackluster offensively. Like, why can't we win games? Why can't we? This is one of the worst episodes I think I've recorded of this series so far. God damn. Okay, let's go through 2 more. We're going to still go to halfway point, but this team needs a massive second half. A massive second half. Islanders, 5-1 win. Okay, that's a nice victory. That's a good victory. We score enough goals in that game. We played good defensively still, but we do score 5 goals. And here is our last game before we're at the exact halfway point. Colorado. Can we beat them as well? Yes, we can. 4-1. Okay, so maybe that is the beginning of what we need for this team, is good offensive games like that. Or we might turtle back to what we were doing before. But 14, 22, and 5 at halfway point, it's going to take a lot of work to come back and get into the playoffs, but I think our team can do it. But we need maybe to make a trade for somebody more offensive to get into our team, because right now the offense has been a huge, huge problem. Like, if we look at our stats right now here, through the beginning of the season, let's actually, let's go entire league. If we sort by the entire league, right now, we are the 3rd worst team in the NHL. We should not be in this position based on last year, in my opinion. The new head coach actually might have helped us get those 2 wins. I didn't even think about that. So I think we made the right call changing coaches here at this point. But goddamn our offense. We have scored 2.29 goals for per game, which is dead last in the NHL. Goals against per game is great. We are still a top 10 defensive team. Power play percentage is 6%. 6%. 5 for 83 on the power play. We're only on pace for 10 power play goals all season. That's actually ridiculous. Wow. Okay. Penalty kill percentage, we are very good on the PK. Yeah, we definitely need to find that offensive touch. 10-7-3 on home ice is good, but look at that road record as well. Maybe that's a little bit of a problem, is our scheduling. Actually, we played around the same amount of road games as home games, but we're just really bad on the road too. I am confused. I'm curious on our AHL team, though. Our AHL team should be cooking, right? Yep, our AHL team's cooking. 34, 12, and 1. That's at least good to see. But goddamn, was not expecting our team to do this bad early on. Cameron's up to 36 points, okay? So maybe he had a good last 2 games here, but our team needs more scoring. I feel like at least. Centers, though, there's Cameron's stats. 36 points, he's a +9. He's been actually pretty good considering our team hasn't been scoring goals. McKinnon's on 29 points, not too bad for Nate. Jankomov's on 20 points. Marcoux on 15, but -16. The good two-way forward has been pretty bad this year defensively, but that's kind of a surprise. Is he on our penalty kill? He should be, if he's not. Interesting. Okay. And then Boone Jenner's on 8 points. So it looks like the bottom 6 is out there for a lot of goals against. Left wing side of things, Nyquist on 24 points. I guess it's not bad considering we're bad offensively. Latty on 7 points, -8. He's scored more goals than last year, so I guess he's taking a bit of a step up, but he's not playing the best. Right wing side of things, Toffoli on 26 points has taken a big regression this year, and he is got that new contract as well. But he is only on pace for 18 goals this season after he scored 37 last year. So we got to maybe see if this new coach helps us get more goals, or we might actually have to upgrade our team into scoring more goals. I'm not too sure. And Eberle is on the last year of his contract. He's only got 6 goals in 41 games. He should be on the power play. If he's not, I would be surprised. But yeah, he's not doing too well. I don't know how long Eberle is with this team, to be honest. Because Fada has more goals than he does at the moment. He also does have more goals than Toffoli, though, which is surprising. Yakupov on 14 points, and Kushkin's only got 5. So yeah, the depth scoring's pretty bad. Defensively, Falk on 14. Moss on 12 as a rookie is not that bad. Sherdev on 12. Metro on 6. Mackey's only got 5 as an OFD. And he's -12 so far. I mean, I do expect his offense to get better as he gets older, but damn. Helenka 3 points, Safronov nothing. And goaltending-wise so far, Vasi's been really good. Ruskovich has been okay, I guess, but he has not won a lot of games for us so far, which is not ideal. All right. Yeah, we definitely got to hope our offense finds itself in that second half. The good thing about Toffoli, even though he's not scoring as much, he is a really good +-. But, yeah, we need more goals. Very drastically. Let's briefly take a look at our AHL team, too, here. So, Holden's got 47 points in 47 games. He's a depth forward. He's definitely getting very close to NHL already. He probably would help us score more goals, but I don't know who he would take out of the lineup at the moment. Like, we'd have to take somebody like Yakupov out or something like that. Or move on from Jankomov's already. I mean, it could happen, but I don't know. McKinnon's on 46 points, which is good. Alto's on 42 as a rookie, +36. He's been really good so far. Still only 76 overall, but he is doing really well for an 18-year-old in his first AHL season. Lowry, 33. Bemstrom on 26 is looking nice. Yeah, it looks like the AHL team's having a lot of fun down there compared to our NHL team, at least. Veshy's on 32 points. Damn. All right. Trombley, 21. Did I draft this dude? Oh, yeah, I guess I did. I completely forgot about him, even though he was a 9th overall selection. That's bad. Santiago Esposito has been playing as a forward, and he's not been doing that bad as an enforcer. He's got a couple points, +9. Only 14 penalty minutes. So he's not punching as much face as I was hoping for, but oh well. And then goalies in the AHL. Dorset's been good. McClement, since getting put into the AHL, has been really good. And Marek Mazanik actually did get the play game, I guess. All right. Let's go back to the NHL here briefly. I do want to also go to the LA Kings to see if Tuomanen has played in their NHL roster, which he has, and he's been pretty trash. All right. He didn't even actually get to play a single game with us, but yeah, he actually picked up his first career shutout with the LA Kings, so shout out to Tuomanen. I forgot he never played a regular season game with us, but he played a brief part of a playoff game. So, shout out to him. Yeah, I don't know what we need to do to get our teams better offensively. Like, I think this new coach has definitely helped out these last 2 games, but I don't know if there's any trades we have to make it better too. In terms of stats around the league, though, Ovechkin's right now on a 50-goal season already. He has more goals than players have points on our team. That's insane. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what to say, to be honest. Defensively, best defenseman right now is Goligoski in Pittsburgh, and best goalie so far in terms of wins is Holtby. So Washington and Pittsburgh both looking dangerous this season so far. All right, let's take a brief look at the trading block, even though we probably, I don't know, maybe we would get the rest of the season done in the next episode, but let's briefly look at the trading block just to see if there is any potential moves we can make. But we honestly might just see how our team does in January for the rest of it in next episode, and then see if our team is starting to win more games and not losing as much. If we find a way to get back to 500, I think this team could make it still back to the playoffs, but obviously just we need that goal scoring and more consistency too, I guess, in our game. Nick Foligno's on the trading block for forwards. What else have we got here? Not a lot of other forwards so far. Just a bunch of prospects, which we don't really care too much about at this stage. Paul Ranger and Shane O'Brien, so defensive help. Calgary's got Korpisalo on the block. Don't want him. Carolina's got Sean Avery. That's not going to help us offensively. Redeem Verbata, but he's already 35. Yeah, nobody crazy there, really, I guess. Yeah, I don't even know if there's going to be much help offensively on the block right now. Colorado's trying to offload our former guy, Mike Comrie. Columbus, just some prospects. A lot of teams are trying to get rid of their prospects, it seems like. Dallas has Matt Carl on the block. Would he help us out defensively? Probably. But I don't think he's somebody I really need to bring in. Matt Hunwick's there. Daniel Winnick. Detroit's got Brunstrom. He's pretty much an AHL scorer probably at this point, right? Depth forward scorer, which is realistic, I guess. Florida, Eric Johnson. There's Olli Jokinen, Johan Franzen, Peter Pruka, Mark Letestu. LA, nothing crazy there. Minnesota has Jussi Jokinen on the block with 2 years left. Sergei Kitsitsin, Blake Como, Kyle Brodziak. A lot of former Oilers in this team. Lori Korpikoski. Because Korpikoski, Brodziak, and Jussi Jokinen all played for the Edmonton Oilers at different points, which is funny. Montreal's got more prospects. Nashville, nobody important. New Jersey just has defensemen. Good defenders, but we don't need defensive help. The Islanders have Benoit Pouliot, Troy Brower's on the block. Speaking of Brower earlier. Jared Stoll on the block. Teddy Purcell, David Clarkson. I don't know if any of these guys actually assimilate that good offensively. Clarkson's barely played this season. Purcell's only on 10 points in 50 games. Stoll's on 10 points in 49. Brower's on 11 only. So the Islanders look like they're struggling offensively as well. All right. The New York Rangers just have some prospects. Ottawa's got John Gibson on the block. And that's it. Philadelphia, Scott Darling. Hey, he actually developed. I'm surprised on that because I think I made him a really low overall to start off franchise mode, but he has finally found a way to develop a decent amount where he's gotten NHL time a bit. So that's kind of neat. Because I think I made him a really low overall, like a 56 fringe starter at 20, and he's NHL/AHL at 28. Matt Murray's on the block. Don't need goalie help, and I don't want Matt Murray on this team. David Booth has dropped off a cliff, and he's making a ton of money. Don't need him for a roster. Dan Girardi, Nick Cronwall. James Neal's not a bad option, but he is not scoring as much as I'd hope him to. So 27 points is good in 49 games, but he's only got 11 goals, which most of the time you'd want him to be like a good 30-goal scorer, but he isn't doing that. San Jose's got Eminger and Greiba on the block. St. Louis, Gerbeshkov's on the block as an OFD with 1 year. Only 9 points in 38 games. I'm not really seeing too much that would help us offensively right now, so I think we might honestly just have to trust the process with our young team. We know they're going to make mistakes. There is a young guy in Toronto that's on the block. He's played 2 AHL games this season, so he might have been scratched. He's got 2 points. Good AHL season last year. Damn, this guy looks actually pretty good. I can understand why he's on the block because they have some really good players there now in Toronto, but damn. Luongo's on the block still in Vancouver. David Runeblad, Washington, Josh Georges. That's not Mark-Edward Vlasic, that's a forward. Alright. Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much that I think would help us out offensively, so Since we brought in this new coach, though, we've started to score more goals, I think, because I'm pretty sure if we go to our coaching staff, he has been our coach for the last 2 games, right? Let's double check on that here for a second. I didn't want to do that. End conversation. I didn't want to talk to you there, Mr. Appleby. I wanted to go to your career stats here. Yeah, 2-1 so far. So he's been our coach for the last 3 games right now. And if we look at our last 3 games, have there been improvements from the rest of the season so far? I would say yes, because we almost won against Vancouver. Then we found our offense in those last 2 games against the Islanders and Colorado. So I think we'll definitely start to win more as the season goes on. But the beginning of the season is definitely something we weren't expecting. So it is a bit of a curveball, but maybe we could find a way to still have a good rest of January and get closer to 500. And then hopefully the rest of the season, this team could start to win more consistently. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we might probably only simulate to the trade deadline. It really depends on how our team does in the rest of this month, because obviously if we do good in the rest of this month and simulate up to the trade deadline, we might want to add to this team for a playoff run. If we obviously simulate bad in the rest of January, this team getting back into the playoff mix might be impossible, so maybe we want to offload somebody on this team. I'm not sure who I would offload because there's a lot of good young talents on it, so we definitely have more decisions to make in next episode likely. So let's think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.